In years past, I've typically walked in here with a crystal ball, but you'll see I don't have it this year, and the reason I don't is because I'm very confident in what's going to happen this year, mostly because it's a continuation of what we've been doing for the past couple of years. I think that you can easily see for yourselves the kind of growth that we're having in the region. If you look at retail and restaurants, we've been very successful over the last couple of years. That is not stopping. We will have some additional retail and even a couple more potential restaurants, if not done by the end of this year, certainly by the first part of next year. And some exciting thing. One of the restaurants that we may get would be buffalo wings, and so I don't know how many of you have been to one of those, but they're really a great restaurant, kind of fun, very trendy. And you know, we have several developers locally that continue, like Gary Pinkston with Elko Junction, to recruit big name stores and retail to the area. We also have a lot going on the industrial side, where we're still bringing in a lot of industrial business. We are in the process, and maybe Curtis will talk more about that, of trying to get a water line to exit 298, where we plan to have a real significant industrial park so that we can bring a lot more business to town. We have things going on at the railport companies that we're talking to about being there. And then if you all read the paper, I think you know about Nexus Energy and the fact that they are a logistics contractor for Noble Energy, and they have some big plans out in Wells. And I think the region is going to benefit tremendously from not just the oil and gas, but I think it's Newmont's Gold Canyon or Long Canyon mine will be starting in construction here very shortly, so a lot going on industrially as well. Housing, you've seen a lot of multifamily housing go up, a lot of single-family housing. The one thing that we really didn't do a very good job of focusing on was affordable housing. So we are now working diligently on that, and we have some success already. You'll see that Vitality is building 40 units right now. We have Bailey and Clayton have partnered up to do, I believe it's 62 units of manufactured homes over by the landfill. And then Robert Capps is working with us to also try and do some affordable housing. So we think we'll have that situation addressed as well by the end of the year, maybe some into next year. In terms of motels and hotels, you're certainly seeing a lot of those go up right now too. I think we have 4 that are permitted right now and another 2 that are on the drawing boards just that I know of. And I'll let Dawn talk about those more, but I think that we desperately need those as well. And a couple other good things that are going on is we are really, really active in the redevelopment arena and have worked extensively with not just the city of Elko, but Wells and now Carlin and even Lander County on redevelopment initiatives. And one of those is a storefront improvement program that we applied for CDBG funds, and we'll be trying to provide grants to store owners to help them make improvements. So very exciting program. That'll start this fall if we get approved for those funds. And then finally, I would say that one of the exciting things for our organization personally is that we are going to be moving more in a regional direction like we had intended to do when we changed our names to NNRDA a couple of years ago. And it looks like Lander County will be joining our organization in the next few months. So some pretty exciting stuff going on. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. We have Cash Miner, he's the Assistant County Manager, and he's going to
Talk for Elko County.
Okay.
Okay, there's quite a bit going on countywide. You may or may not have noticed we're doing, in addition to the current detention facility, or jail, as some would call it. It's about a $3.9 million project, 9,600 square feet. It'll add about 100 new beds. And we're hoping that this will take us, hopefully, to the next 10 years at least. there seems to be a rise in crime and a need for jail space. It's scheduled to be completed on May 24th of this year. Probably one of the big issues we faced in the last 4 years is the fire district. Since the 1950s, we've had a partnership with Nevada Division of Forestry, whereby we paid them to take care of our responsibilities. The 2011 legislature mandated that we take it back. So we effectively started the county fire protection January 1st of this year. Elko County is composed of 11 million acres, about 17,000 square miles, and we're the 4th largest county in the continental U.S. We have 16 volunteer fire departments, 120 volunteers, 4 city fire departments. Our current operation budget is $2 million. Our proposed is going to be up to $2.6 million, ignoring capital. That's just pure operating. We have hired 7 firefighters, 3 captains, 1 mechanic, 1 chief of operation, 1 prevention chief, an administrator, and an administrative assistant. So in conjunction with that, the required capital requirements for the fire district to replace all of the old equipment is approximately $1 million a year over the next 20 years to replace everything. And we actually have some 1946 equipment still operating out there. The program that's helped with medical, the hospital, Nevada Medical Centers in the county in conjunction with the School of Medicine, we've gotten together and we're paying for 2 third-year residents to come to Elko County and work in the hospital as well as Nevada Medical Centers. The first year was very successful, and we're going to continue that program. Word coming back to us is that the residents, or the third-year residents, even enjoyed their experience here. They thought they got a broad-based experience for their school. Public land issues, sage grouse is massive. Depending on the direction the listing goes, it could literally shut down Elko County. It could be, it's going to impact mining, gas and oil, ranching, recreation. A China Mountain Wind project a few years ago was shut down because of sage grouse, and that was a project that was up towards Jackpot, both in Idaho and Nevada. It's no longer on the drawing boards. If you look at maps dealing with the sage grouse, it effectively will turn Elko County into a quasi-wilderness area. The other land issue, there was an interim study committee last session, and they were looking at the transfer of federal lands to the state. That has entered the state legislature as SJR 1, and hopefully it will move forward and some of the federal land can at least be turned over to the state. As far as unfunded mandates, for the last 4 years we have paid the state of Nevada approximately $2 million per year. For the 2015 year, they're looking to charge the county $3 million per biennium, so it's going up $1 million. It does make an impact on the county and the service levels and what we can and can't provide. So most all counties were mandated by the state to contribute to state services back 4 years ago. And basically that leaves us funds unavailable for our own needs and issues. So we'll see how we balance that out. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Next we have Gary Morgan. He's the president of the Elko Realtors Association.
Hi, everybody. Gary Morgan again. Housing was, it stayed stagnant there at January. It picked back up in February. About the same thing as 2014 or 2015, about 2 houses down. Last year, about this time, it was 260 average. This year, it's about 270, so it's up a little bit with 1 or 2 less sold. We have some development going up at the point, which is above the golf course. We have some over there at the 8 Mile, or I guess it's by the college up in that area. That's almost built out. I think we have about 8, 9, 10 more lots in there. North 5th Street, have you noticed that last year there were a few lots in there, it's completely built out. Hamilton Stage is booming up in that area, like Pam mentioned before. I think they're going to focus on affordable housing into the 230 range, 250 range. Like she said, we need that in this area. North, or let's say 12th Street, they're going to expand in that area for affordable housing as well. Next to that, you'll see those modular homes, I guess you would call those. We have plenty of rental units out there. They have some on Winchester, 90 units there. Up there on the East Jennings, I believe there's 140. We have another phase empty of North Fifth Street, that new development that's in that area. With that new development going on, we should have a lot of rentals on the market, which is probably, in my perspective, good, because what Pam talked about, she wanted to bring these new businesses in. We got to have people with, affordable housing. Those people that are making $30 an hour or have been making $30 an hour are finding a month's rent, 2 months' rent, and they're finding more money in their pocket. So, and also these guys being so aggressive, they're letting pets come into these multi-units. So Petco's booming because they have more, they have more money in their pocket and they're spending more money. If you look around, you'll see a 20, 30-year-old driving a $70,000 truck. When you bring a franchise or a commercial or industrial, you have to have places for those to live. When you have places for those to live, you see bigger names come in. So multifamily is good. For the first time in 7 years, I have a multi-unit complex, and we're probably 18% down. But everything has a cycle. We had a good 7 years. They were having a waiting list, a monthly waiting list. Now it's the other side. It's the renter that's looking to make negotiating and having something to work with. So I see having that all those houses on the market a good thing, because you can see something like Maverick. They're expanding. They're spending more money. People are spending more money. Dairy Queen expanding, or not expanding, but remodeling. If you see through town, all these commercial properties, they're making money because these people have more money in their pocket. And me as a realtor, I look into commercial. These franchises, the first thing I want to know is, where am I going to get the labor force? And with affordable housing, they can do something like that, can compete with other places like that. Restaurants, same thing, they're getting bigger tips, things like that. But we're in a really nice, perfect situation right here, perfect storm. I see it that way. I mean, I know everybody sees it. We've got too many houses on the market, but we're doing good. The housing market's staying about 130 days before it gets an offer or some in that area. So it's still as we were last year. With these lower interest rates, you're going to see a minor boom. I foresee it this summer with these affordable housing and this affordable interest rates. So I look forward to having a banner year this next year for real estate. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Next, we have Roy Redlick from MDOT.
Thank you. So at NDOT, I'll just talk a little bit about what we've done in the past year and what we're going to do. The previous year, Stacy and I were talking about, we've just completed the Carlin Tunnel project, which I'm sure everyone that has to go to work out at the mines is greatly appreciative that it is open and working. Just a few minor items to clean up there. Last year, you also saw major traffic jam there at the hospital where the paving over the Memorial Summit happened to coincide with the rush hour traffic in the evening. Hands, who was in that with me? So it impacted a lot of people. That project obviously still underway this year here in Elko. We're taking as many measures as we can to try to prevent those kinds of traffic jams from happening. And if it does, call RHB, not me, please. But so that project's going on. We also have another wildlife safety crossing north of Wells that we're trying to get advertised here by May. A project in Wells, the Wells bypass, reconstructing concrete and barrier rail through Wells. And also a little bit further down the pipe from that, another one in the Battle Mountain bypass. Sort of the same thing, paving, barrier rail improvements such as that. Outside of that, we're getting very strict with our stormwater policies, mostly because the EPA has audited us in the last year, and we're going to be entering into a consent decree with them to avoid fines for not doing the most we could do with our stormwater prevention, pollution prevention. We've been working with the county and the city on that as far as how we're going to implement those kinds of changes, which even though we may save money in fines, it means that we're going to spend probably an additional $50 million in our stormwater pollution prevention program, which with our other partners such as the cities and counties in our districts, it's going to make construction a little bit more difficult in the future as far as being able to, I guess, maybe with costs and how fast things can be done. Outside of that, nothing really new with the Nevada Department of Transportation, which is the #1 transportation department in the state of Nevada. That's good.
No, thank you.
You bet.
Next we have Curtis Culver from the city of Elko.
Okay, well, kind of went back through some statistics to kind of give it some perspective on where we're headed for 2015. So we like to look at the trends from 10 years, 5 years, even 3 years back. So 2012, 2013 was really a peak year for the city of Elko in terms of development activity. There was a lot of activity, starting at the planning department and working its way all the way through the building department. And so it did slow in 2014 on the planning side, which is kind of the front end of the pipeline. And the building permits also slowed, but what was interesting was the valuation of those permits increased dramatically. And so that's really a reflection of the change in the building patterns, so a lot more multifamily, commercial development. That was really driving it. Single-family housing starts were down from the peak, but they're well above the 10-year average. So if you look back over 10 years, the city of Elko has about 42 houses per year, single-family houses that get built, and we're running in the mid-60s right now, and we have been that way for a couple of years now. The multifamily projects that are ongoing under construction right now, Winchester Court, Riverside Villas, Tanamera, those are the big ones. I know Pam talked about the hotels. We haven't had any hotels in a while, but now all of a sudden we've got a whole bunch at the same time. So you're seeing the Hampton Inn, the Ledgestone, the Fairfield Inn, those are for sure going. There may be some others that break ground too. The other things we look at from an economic perspective is what's the sales taxes doing in Elko County. We look at that every month, and our current fiscal year sales tax exceeds what we projected for this fiscal year, so that's a good positive sign. We're seeing the assessed valuation increase with the growth. That's a direct reflection on those building valuations. Then we're also seeing a lot of private reinvestment within our redevelopment area. So a lot of these projects like the Maverick downtown, rebuilding their building, that's a major reinvestment in that redevelopment area, and all of those tax increment dollars get reinvested within the district. So that's a really positive thing for the downtown. And then the other thing we look at is population trends. So every year the state demographer adjusts the population based on a model, and it's based on a lot of different factors, but we're seeing that hold steady, but we anticipate an increase due to the Long Canyon project, not just the direct employment, but the indirect employment associated with the project and construction, as well as the operation of that project. The city of Elko has a lot of construction projects underway. Probably this summer will be the busiest we've seen in a long time. Well over $15 million in capital construction. We'll be breaking ground on the new police station. That's about $6.3 million. Phase 3 of the runway rehabilitation project this summer. That's an $8.5 million project, and we'll finish up the runway. It will have some inconvenience because it's going to require a shutdown of that runway for about 40 days. So keep that in mind. It's scheduled right now for about mid-August to a little after mid-September. And it'll be a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week project to get it done. We have some projects that we're finishing up. We've been out to bid a couple of times on the Silver Street sidewalk rehab, which was a CDBG project, and we're having a hard time getting bidders. And when we did get bidders, they were way over the budget. We did get some good competitive bids just this last week, and we're looking to move forward with that project. We'll finish up the Main City Park tennis court project this spring. The 9th Street pedestrian bridge rehab is another project we're working on. And then, although it's not a City of Elko project, the HenDOT enhancement grant project is ongoing and is part of that Mountain City Highway rehabilitation project. So you've already seen a lot of the hardscape going in, the sidewalks, the curb gutter, the drainage. That project will finish up this construction season as well. We have some other projects under design. Cedar Street reconstruction is kind of the next big capital project for the City of Elko. We're not sure what the total cost is going to be until the design is complete, but it's probably big enough it's going to have to be phased over a couple of years. The great big project looming out there is the sports complex project off of Bullion. That is a multi-million-dollar project which would be funded through multiple sources. We've been working on that for some time now, and the design is nearing completion. Golf course irrigation project, about a $2 million project to replace all the irrigation at the golf course. So that's something we're looking at. And then Pam mentioned Exit 298 water extension project. We really see this as a big legacy project for the city. It's going to require some upfront investment, but over time it will really pay off as that builds out. And then another project that's something that will develop over time is the Silver Street Extension Project, where Silver Street and Manzanita will connect. We're working on the easements and right-of-way with Union Pacific Railroad right now, and as soon as those are secured, you'll start seeing infrastructure slowly extend into those areas. Elko Regional Airport's got some things going on outside of the construction. We're continuing our efforts to lease the commercially zoned property on Mountain City and Aspen Way. That's been hung up in some FAA bureaucracy, but we're hoping to get through that this year. We're also pursuing a master plan update, which would increase the commercially available property out at the airport significantly, and that would be on the infield of the airport. And then also aggressively pursuing air service development and the reestablishment of the Reno-Elko route. And so we do have a Senate bill pending, it's Senate Bill 125, and I know a lot of people who are in this room supported our efforts on air service development, and that's going to be coming up for hearings here shortly.
Thank you. Next we have Kathy McAdoo. She's representing several nonprofit agencies. Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome. I am Kathy McAdoo, and I'm the director of PACE Coalition, but please take that hat off of me right now because I interviewed numerous nonprofits in the community to get their forecast ideas for 2015 and some of their successes for 2014. So I'm representing all of us. And I think that it's important for us to realize that nonprofits are an important component to our community life and life in America. And did you know that we have over 160 nonprofits in our area? Now, you're sitting there thinking, where'd you come up with that number? Well, I actually looked it up online, and that I think nonprofit is one of the most confusing parts of the business world, really, because nonprofits include universities and schools and churches and chambers of commerce and social service nonprofits. And sometimes I think we are more aware of the social service nonprofit than the others. And honestly, I'm probably representing those more today than some of the other nonprofits we have in our community. We have nonprofits in our community that support the lifespan from birth to death and everything in between. And that's very important and a viable entity in our community to do that. And so I think that we, as the nonprofits here, do a very good job serving our community. We realize fully we can't do it without any of you. We just can't. It takes all of us to do that. So in my questions that I asked the nonprofits, I wanted to know what they considered their greatest challenge last year, and did they foresee that for this year? And there's always common threads. And I'm sure that you as business people in town realize that one of those common threads is funding. And that's the one I love to talk about least. Because really, sometimes people can have the idea that a nonprofit is just always begging for stuff. And it may appear that way to you sometimes, but really we're not. We're just trying to sustain the services that we can offer to the individuals in our community. So we just always have to remember that nonprofit is a tax system. It is not a business strategy. We have to have business strategies as nonprofits in order for us to succeed here. So, funding, diversity of funding, and I know Gary talked about the growth and finding staff for all these places. We as nonprofits encounter staffing issues for those same reasons. We're very fortunate to live in our area where there are some pretty high-paying jobs that make life for all of us a little bit easier. But for nonprofits, it is sometimes very difficult for us to compete with a beautiful package to offer someone to come to work for us. It pretty much has to be a passion of your heart to do that. So that's one of them. Transportation for clients to get to the services. It doesn't seem like Elko stretches out that far, but when you don't have any transportation, it's a long way sometimes to get to those places. However, the great hope for 2015 is the city routes for Get My Ride that the county has. And so a lot of nonprofits are pretty excited about those city routes starting to get our clients to the needs that they have. So when I talked about the staffing piece, we're no different than your business, really. We are also a business, so our nonprofit managers have to be good leaders of people just like you are. We have to graciously work with our funders, our donors, and the participants in our organization. We need to be financial and tech wizards. Most of us are not. We need to be advocates for our agency mission and passionate about it, equally savvy with legal issues, human resources, and the majority of nonprofits don't have a human resource director. Social media, world-class fundraisers, and at the same time, those strategists to keep our nonprofit on course so that we can stay within the strategies and the scopes of work that we've established for ourselves. We've had many successes as nonprofits. When I looked through the list, I really could only find 2 that I believe are no longer existing out of those more than 160. So I thought that was really good news in the nonprofit realm. But most important for us, we do not believe that 2015 is going to be a bleak year for us. Yes, the federal government and the state government economy, the budgets aren't balanced. Don't ask me how that's going to happen. I have no idea. But for our nonprofits, our bottom line in our business relies on collaborative efforts. And that's where each of you and every other community member that we have comes into play for that. Because we count on that collaborative effort, sometimes for office space, for volunteers for our programs, for both paid and unpaid staff members in our offices, for donations, for sustained funding. There honestly isn't much room for a silo nonprofit in our community. They're not going to last if they don't have collaborative efforts in place there. So it takes all of us, every one of us in this room, to sustain the quality of life that we get to enjoy in Elko County. Collaboration helps build growth, trust, and sustainability for all of us. And we believe, as the nonprofits, that there is no better place to provide our nonprofit social services than right here in this community. And that is because of businesses such as yours who constantly and continually support our nonprofits. When you support any of those 160 plus local nonprofits, you are helping meet individual needs of many who live right here where we all live. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Next we have Rick Kalashi. He's the CEO of the Nevada Regional Hospital.
Good afternoon. Only one of us has got the yellow sticker up here so far, so.
He's right on time.
Good job.
Keep practicing.
I'm happy to be here, my first of these since arriving in the community in September. As you know, Northeastern Nevada Regional Hospital is a 75-bed acute care facility. We see 20 to 25, sometimes 28 to 30 patients on average a day that are in beds. We see about 27,000 ER visits. We see up to 700 babies that we deliver, sometimes less, not many times more in a year. And we have about 3,000 folks that wind up as an inpatient or admitted into a hospital bed. So it kind of gives you a scope, if you will, of our service. We are a rural facility, and we are also a very diversified rural facility. For many of the reasons that have been mentioned here, we serve a regional draw. So while we're rural, we serve people from a long ways away. Sometimes that's 3.5 hours. If you talk to the Indian Health Service folks and some of their clients that come into Elko for healthcare services, that's 3.5 hours is a long one-way trip and pretty scary if you've got anything serious on board with that. Let me just mention a couple of the governmental issues that are facing us and that we're concerned about. Of course, federally, we're in the middle of the second, third, fourth year of the Affordable Care Act. And what is that going to mean? Medicaid has been expanded in the state of Nevada. What that means is that the income thresholds have risen to allow more people to make a little bit more money than they used to become eligible for Medicaid. So we've seen that number of folks cover, and that has reduced the amount of people coming to our facility that have no insurance. So on average, that's a good thing. The struggle with that is Medicaid is a very low reimbursement for the services you provide, about 7 cents on the dollar in the month of January. So that's not really helpful, but it's better than nothing. And that's part of our mission, is to serve those folks. Medicare, on the other hand, is about 40 cents to 60 cents on the dollar of services provided. And just to contrast that with private insurance companies, that's about 80 to 85% generally of a dollar's worth of services. So you can kind of see the challenges that come with each of those categories that cover the lion's share of folks that come to our facility. On average, 9 out of 10 people that present to our facility for some kind of service, emergency department or otherwise, have private insurance. There are so many unique things about Elko and Elko County, and that's one of them. You just don't see that same kind of profile in almost any other rural community that I've been in or that I know about. So that's a good thing. Another issue for us is the licensing of healthcare professionals, be that RN or radiology technologists or lab techs. It's a really siloed event state by state in a lot of ways. A pharmacist has to license in whichever state he or she practices in. So if they practice in Utah, they can't really practice in Nevada unless they get a Nevada license. Same for RNs, same for physicians. In some states, there's efforts underway to be reciprocal, if you will. So if an RN gets licensed in state X, it also would allow he or she to practice in states Y, Z, A, B, and C. And without a minimum of hassle or application and going through the hoops. And we think that's a good thing, especially in rural environments, especially in Elko, where we border Idaho and Utah. So it makes it a lot easier. I'll mention here in a bit some physician issues that come along with that licensing kind of activity. And of course, as many of us in the room were kind of holding our breath to see what may happen with the business tax initiative at the state and how that's going to play out, and that will impact many of us, including, surprisingly, a lot of nonprofits as well. So, a lot of interest there. You all are probably following that, know more about it than I do. Current issues for us. I'll kind of get all the hard stuff out of the way before I get to the fun stuff. We have staffing issues. On a fully staffed hospital, we would employ about 367 employees, if you will. Some of them part-time, some of them full-time. And we have about 28 openings right now. Many of those are in the nursing field. And a nurse is not a nurse is not a nurse. And I can tell you that a rural nurse is a very special group. Someone that wants to practice in a community like ours without maybe as much support or even as many of them taking care of folks as they might have in the Las Vegas or the Salt Lake City or the Chicagos of the world. It just takes a different kind of person, a different kind of mentality to want to be in that kind of environment, to where many, many things get thrown at them in an 8 or 12-hour shift on any given day. We can discharge 7 patients and we can admit 15 patients in the course of a 6 or 8 hour shift. Very, very trying for our nurses. So that's an issue for us, finding those folks that fit here. And not only the hospital, but of course Elko. And some of you in the room know that I talk a lot about Elko today. When I came, people would say, Elko, oh, what are you going there for? Yes, you know what you know about it. I say, well, when was the last time you've been there? And they say, 15 years ago, wait a minute. That's not the Elko of today. And we're in a much different place today than we were then. And I'm telling you, in terms of rural communities, it's a hugely vibrant community. Am I at red already? Wow. I can't believe that.
We can get to the fun.
I know. All right, let me just do this. I have a lot of new services to talk to you about. Let me just focus a little bit on our oncology services. So right out of the chute is RBS on our Radiation Oncology Center, okay? There will be 3 primary kinds of radiation administered there. One of those is called external beam radiation therapy, and that really is beams of radiation through the skin to the affected tumor to reduce the impact, hopefully stop that growth and eliminate it at its very best. We also have one that's abbreviated IMRT, and I won't tell you what that stands for, but that is to really reduce the amount of radiation that comes into your body targeted for a specific tumor and leaves alone the healthy tissue around it. So a very cool thing. And then we have the last one is image-guided radiation therapy. And basically that is to, tumors move, they tell me. And sometimes you need to know the exact movement of that in the location and has it grown or shrunk. And that's what that particular kind of CT technology will bring to us as well. So we've got that. We've got medical oncology with a partnership with the University of Utah that should be expanding. Our infusion center and chemotherapy we're expanding. So we'll be bringing quite a few new oncology-related, cancer-related services to our community. I can tell you about physician recruitment. We cannot provide a service without the kinds of physicians that will produce that service. We never, an administrator never admits anybody to the hospital. Physicians do. So I can talk to you a lot about that. Telemedicine, huge area. I mean, for those of us that grew up with Lost in Space and Star Trek, man, it's here. And those kind of things are just increasing in their applicability to our facility. I'm out of time. Sorry.
Thank you, it's all good stuff.
Brian, bud.
I give you my minutes.
Did you? Thank you. Is this like a rollover plan?
I'm just like a cell phone.
Yeah. Next we have Mark Curtis, he's the president of a Great Basin College.
Thank you. Amidst all of the budget cuts over the last several years, Great Basin College embarked on what we call a self-help growth for vision, or vision for growth plan that involves 3 different parts. One has already taken place where we took on 4 additional rural counties. So now Great Basin College covers 86,000 square miles of rural Nevada, the 10 largest counties in the state. And we're starting to provide dual enrollment services in those newly served counties, and we'll be doing additional things for community education as we grow in those new counties. The second piece that we are doing is planning to offer additional baccalaureate level degrees. As many of you know, back in the late 90s, Great Basin College was authorized to offer baccalaureate degrees because we serve the rural part of the state. So we're planning to roll out 2 new baccalaureate degrees each year for the next 4 years. So for the 9 degrees we have now, we're planning to add 8 in the next 4 years. And we're hoping to keep a lot of people who have been leaving our area home to complete their education and provide that additional level of training to our citizens. We're also very good at delivering online and two-way interactive video programming. And we have to do that just by our nature. So for us, in a very sparsely populated rural Nevada, again, 86,000 square miles, there's only 150,000 inhabitants. It's less than 2 people per square mile, which is one of the most rural places in the country. With rival Alaska. So how we get to all of those people is we may have one person in Round Mountain, and we may have 2 people over in Ely, and we may have 6 in front of us right here in Elko. And we put together a class and we're able to make it economically viable to deliver those services. And the students seem to be wanting more and more of that kind of convenience of online. It minimizes travel, minimizes a lot of extra costs that they would have. So also, some people might not know this, but we're delivering programming in 28 states in the country also online as well. We will be continuing to work along this vision for growth, helping ourselves out, because there's a lot of people, particularly right now in the legislature, kind of fighting for limited resources. We're hoping to get a few of those ourselves, but we think that our plan will put us in good stead. One other thing, a recent bill passed in the legislature in late 2014, signed by the president, gave several pieces of land to the Nevada system of higher education, and Great Basin College is one of them. That we received 285 acres in Pahrump to build a new campus. You might say, well, gee, that's 436 miles away, but that's what we do in Elko. We reach out and we serve the rural part of the state. And of course, Pahrump is one of the fastest growing rural communities, and they have about 30,000 people there, and will probably grow to near 40,000 in the next 5 to 7 years. So this won't happen overnight, but we see moving from the one large building we have now, which is on the high school campus, to a full standalone campus, very much like the one here in Elko, likely in a generation, 20 to 25 years. But we've got to start somewhere. And getting the land was our beginning. Some of you young people in the room might get a chance to see that. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Next we have Jeff Sanders, he's the Elko County School District superintendent. Is that what it is?
Heavy on that super part.
Did you, I understand, show it the Superman shirt or
Well.
the weight?
Unfortunately, it's drooped a little bit, but. So, I'm the superintendent of schools here, and you know, every time we talk about this, and I feel like you sort of try to whip through 7 minutes, you don't really get to say what you want to say. And so I just want to preface this with a little bit that a little portion of trivia. I don't know if people realize that Elko County is the 4th largest county geographically in the nation. Okay, we're the 3rd largest school district, not including the charter authority, which now has exceeded 20,000 students. We're about 10,000 students. We serve the communities of West Wendover, Jackpot, Elko, Wells, Carlin, Owyhee, Spring Creek, and we have 4 one-room schoolhouses, one in Montello, one in Ruby Valley, one in Mountain Valley, and one in Independence Valley. Okay? And you know, we never talk about that. The delivery of instruction for the Elko County School District is much different than a number of the counties within the state of Nevada and across the world. I mean, Nevada only has 17 school districts and 17 counties, and that's a much different configuration you see in most states. So that being said, we have large geographic counties and a lot of challenges to provide those services in the outlying areas. You know, every year we come in here and we always talk about budget, and Mark and I go, wowzer, and you know, I'm not going to talk about budget, okay? We're really excited this upcoming school year. We're going to implement a program called Leader in Me, which is a sort of Stephen Covey program that sort of mirrors the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. 3 schools came to the Board of Trustees and asked if they could implement that program, and it's Grammar School number 2, Spring Creek Elementary, and Mountain View Elementary. So we're really excited. It's a school-wide program where everybody in the school is trained, including support staff and custodians and bus drivers and da-da-da-da. It's a sort of a character-building program to build leadership skills and character and initiative and collaboration and conflict resolution to all of our students. And hopefully, you know, this is the first step of this program, but hopefully this will be a district-wide program at some point in time. And hopefully we'll see that, you know, carry on into our community for years and years to come, just with improved relationships of our kids and our ability to work collaboratively with other members of society. So we're really excited about that program coming into place. We're really excited about our SRO program. You know, we're fortunate to have the city, county, and PACE Coalition to share in the cost of putting resource officers in our schools. Everywhere I go, I hear nothing but positive things from people and there's interactions they're having. They're playing, you know, foursquare on the playgrounds with our elementary kids, to sitting in classrooms and doing presentations with our high school kids. They're building relationships with these kids and moving them all around. That's going to do a lot to improve the community policing abilities we have in Elko County. So we're really happy with that. Not talking about budget, because everybody knows we live and die based on the state legislature, okay? And no doubt this is going to be a tricky one this year. And no doubt the governor has proposed some increases and, you know, hopefully tax increases, I guess the best way to say that, to expand programming in all of our schools. That being said, you know, I'm not sure where that's going to end up at, but I do know we have some mandates that are coming from the state that's going to change what we're doing in our schools right now. One of those is a Smarter Balance test, okay? That's our annual assessment or criterion reference test that's going to take place in grades 3 through 8, and it's going to start this spring. It's a computer adaptive test, so these kids will be taking this all on computers, Chromebooks for the most part, all right? We've hopefully done our due diligence. We've worked collaboratively with the local telecommunication companies to expand our bandwidth capabilities district-wide, and we'll be testing kids in different windows to maintain that bandwidth and maintain the speed on those machines. And in the meantime, hopefully also these kids are going to go through a learning curve in regards to taking a computer adaptive test. So this is the first year this is going to be implemented. We expect some issues and some bumps in the road. We know that we're not going to see the proficiency that we had in the previous CRT tests, okay? I think in the long run this is a good thing because it will be truly aligned with our curriculum. But that being said, there's going to be some bumps in the road to start off with, and the proposed pass rates, okay, are not what we're accustomed to. So as a result of that, the State Department of Education is also going to freeze the scores we have in the accountability framework right now. So those star ratings for the schools will be frozen for 1 year. They're not gonna use those smarter balance results, hopefully, until they work out the kinks and give the kids the opportunity to learn how to take these particular exams. And then secondly, in conjunction with that, we're piloting the new Nevada Educator Performance Framework, which is a new evaluation model for all the classroom teachers in the state of Nevada that are going to use growth results based upon those smarter balance exams in their evaluation tools. So we're piloting that in 11 or 12 schools right now, and next year that full-blown evaluation model goes live throughout the state. So we're managing some pretty significant second-order change right now. We have extensive professional development going on with staff throughout the district in regards to not only the NEPF and the smarter balance and the other initiatives we have coming from the state, but also we're still in the process in the 4th year of implementation of the Nevada Academic Content Standard, or Common Core, in all of our schools. So I'm staying away from budget, trying to stick with curriculum right now. We also are going out to bid, we're out to bid right now in the West Wendover Elementary School, so that school will hopefully be built this year. It's about a 650 student, 96,000 square foot facility over in West Wendover. That elementary school currently has about 12 modulars that are in use right now. That's one of the triggers within our long-term facility plan to trigger a new facility. And so hopefully we'll have favorable treatment when it goes out to bid, and hopefully we'll be able to start break ground on that this spring. That's the estimated budget. So anytime I say budget, the estimated budget on that is $30 million within our pay-as-you-go fund. We have a food service RFP out right now to outsource food service. In that RFP, it's not the intent to replace our current food service employees, but more so maybe to look at a different delivery model of food service and try to moderate the interfund transfers that we have to subsidize our current food service program with. When you enter into those types of projects, food service projects or contracts, it's sort of a no-win or no-lose situation, because if you don't meet the financial incentives that the company promises, then they make your budget whole. Okay, and so we're supposed to receive those back on March 1st. We'll study those and take those to the board on March 10th, and the board at that time will make a decision on whether we're going to outsource food service or not. And lastly, I was really encouraged to hear Gary talk down there. You know, we were about 160 kids down this year, so I'm happy to hear that real estate's going to turn around here and fill our classrooms again. So thank you very much, Gary.
A lot of pressure.
Well, thank you. Thank you to everyone that took the time to prepare and come and enlighten us on what is happening and what you foresee happening. Are there any questions from anyone in the audience? Done.
Can I give a brief update?
Yes, come on up.
Pam left off quickly, because I know everybody wants to hear about the building.
Thank you, Don, for bringing that up. That's a good idea.
Hey, never met a microphone I didn't like. So, a couple of exciting things. I'm done already? Thank you, James. Oh, boy. Lionism. So, a couple of things, really exciting things. First thing, we're all experiencing it right now that's gone on here at the Elko Convention Center. And I'm sorry, let me introduce myself. I'm Don Newman. I'm the Executive Director here at the ECVA, for those of you who don't know me. But we are in the process of wrapping up a project that has been taking place for the last couple of months, and that is to fix the sound in this building, the air handling ductwork. For those of you who've been to meetings in this building in the past, it's this cyclical game that we play where it's too hot. The groups come into the office and say, could you please turn the air conditioning on? We turn it on. It sounds like Casino Express is coming back. They're landing on the roof of the building, and nobody can hear one another talk. So we turn it off, and then it's too hot, we turn it on. It's too cold, we turn it on. You can't hear. It's on, it's working. They're just calibrating, finishing up the last of it. But it's nice that the sound from the ductworks is, for the most part, gone away. So we're very excited about that. It was a couple $100,000 project, so it was not cheap, but we owed it to the community to be able to conduct business in an environment that is fully functional for them to take place and be able to hear what's going on. With that said, the second thing that I want to talk about is the building. And it was really exciting because I think there's a theme here that was presented today, sitting way in the back and listening to what everybody was talking about. Pam Borda talked about new businesses and developments coming into the community. Cash talked about the growth, maybe the state getting more federal lands and the fire services that are going to be provided and the growth within the county. Gary talked about the growth in the housing market. We heard about NDOT and some new projects that are coming online there. Curtis talked about this incredible amount of growth that the city's going to go through. And on it down the line, we heard from everybody. Higher education, K through 12 education, things are growing, things are expanding. There's new school districts, new schools coming within the district. So growth is the key for our community. Everybody who's out here is involved. We have a very active community and a growing community, which brings me to the expansion of the ECVA. We have been working on this for about 2 years. It's going to take place in the back lot, the dirt lot behind us. It's going to be a freestanding building. We're going to add about 29,000 square feet of conference space. That will be very, very, I won't say state-of-the-art, but it will be highly technical and conducive to our needs here in the community. So we will be breaking ground in April. We're on a fast-track schedule. We should be done in November. Our intent is to move the Festival of Trees over there and have the entire community come in and be part of the new building, with the Festival of Trees being the first project in the building. We're borrowing $9 million. It's a P3 project. It's a public-private partnership. We have signed a lease with a company that's going to be building the building for us. We're going to lease it back from them. At the end of the lease terms, we'll own the improvements to our property, and we're really excited about this. So it just gives us an opportunity to build and expand in the community at a very affordable rate for us as we go forward. So the meeting rooms that currently exist here in the building are 8,100 square feet. I have some renderings I'll be happy to share with anybody, but the main portion of the new building will be 9,600 square feet. In addition to that, we'll have another 1,200 square feet that can be subdivided into 4 smaller rooms. So the demands currently on us here at the building are pretty great. We turn away anywhere from 6 to 8 pieces of business a month. Weddings are almost non-existent. We now house all of the fundraisers for the animal foundations, and when you couple those on the weekends and all of the activities that Jeff and the school district do here in the building, and then you take our wonderful community concert series and Ruby Mountain Symphony series, and you plug all of these things into the building and the yearly calendar, it doesn't leave a whole lot for us to do. Barrick is in here doing a lot of the mine safety training and requirements that they're required to do, updates, and we're hoping that we'll be able to bring Newmont into the mix as well as we add the new space. So you've seen some things in the paper. It's going forward. We're happy about it. We're excited about it. But again, what a wonderful community, and the opportunity that we're not here talking about decline and how are we going to do this. We're all faced with challenges of moving forward and growth. So it's a wonderful situation to be in, and I'm really excited about this this new building and the opportunities that it will present to us here in Elko. So thank you for allowing me to come up and do this brief update.